And yeah, Brian, thanks for organizing this, and everyone, thanks for coming into the Zoom press conference. Realize for rowing, we need to do a better job with making ourselves available to the media and more people talking about rowing, both within our sport and people outside the sport. So I feel like this should become more of a regularity for what we do. And in terms of the Longhorn invite, the history of that, going back even 10 years ago when I first had discussions with Chris Plonsky about the job opportunity here at Texas, within 2 or 3 minutes of my first conversation with her in a hotel lobby in California, she mentioned about, wanting to build a race course at this lake about 5 miles east of campus. Like, build a race course? Like, wow, like Texas, all right, they're serious. So this could turn into something good. And sure enough, we've been doing it. We've been hosting events there since maybe 2017. And it's all gone off. Everything, it's always worked out. So fingers crossed. This time of year, or this time during the week, we start checking the weather probably every 30 minutes. But in Texas, things will change quite a lot. So coaches, if you're looking at it and worried, once we get to Thursday, we'll see what it's like. Okay. And then in terms of this year's version of the Longhorn invite, for rowing, oftentimes we go to these big events where there's 12, 18 different teams, and we race 3 times in a couple of days. And I've done that plenty of times. But this year wanted to keep it a smaller affair. I'm certainly happy to travel cross country to race somebody good, just 1x2K. And then when Stanford expressed some interest in coming out, I was like, yeah, let's do this. This could be great. And then with Ohio State has been here before, and Virginia's been a few times. Figured, like, let's make this a really good event where there's going to be some really good interest from the rowing community, because yeah, like I think as we've posted, 9 of the last 15 NCAA champions are coming from these 4 programs. So all programs. Oftentimes people think that rowing's an Ivy League East Coast sport, and it's certainly not anymore. It's certainly all across the country. So looking forward to Saturday with some good racing. And then as far as this year's team, we have a good team again this year. The standard, we've made some changes from last year and done some things differently. It all seems to be working out, looking pretty good. There's certainly a long way to go. And, this weekend, I think it'll be the first time that we're fully healthy. Amber Harwood, someone who's been a staple within our team. She's been in our second 8 the last 3 years. She got back in the boat yesterday for the first time in about 3 weeks. And so expect her to race, and did some hard stuff today, and expect her to race in the first or second 8. Other person who's been an important member of our team who just got back a couple days before the Michigan race, Nadia Yaroshchuk. She's back and fully raring to go. And so I expect her to be in one of our top 2 8s as well. So lineups will be a little bit different than what we've raced the 2 previous big race weekends. And, and of course, with this, we expect to be very much challenged by Stanford, Virginia, and Ohio State. So looking forward to Saturday.
All right, Coach Sauer.
Oh, thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Dave. It's a pleasure. This is, as Dave said, this is a great idea. As far as getting something out there to the press, right? To all the press that's out there covering rowing. I see Chip on here. He's done a great job for many, many years. Chip Davis at Rowing News for a long time covering rowing. So it's great to have him on here, and all the other coaches and sports information, media relations people. Yeah, I think we've been coming to this off and on for about those 10 years, I think, Dave, from the very beginning. Been there at least 3 or 4 times that I can think of. And it's always very, very competitive, obviously. If you'd asked me last year when Dave said, hey, you want to come to Longhorn? I said, they came to us last year. I said, yeah, well, we'll go to you guys this year coming up. And then it evolved into Stanford. There's already Texas, and then Stanford. And then Stanford asked if we would come out to Redwood Shores this year as well. And I go, no, we can't do it, but why don't you come to our place, Stanford and Cal? So now it's like we see Stanford 2 weeks apart. If I'd have known that crystal ball, I probably wouldn't have done it, but it is what it is. So here we go. So yeah, we've had a lot of fast races this spring so far. Unfortunately, we haven't been at the top end of those fast races, but we've had a lot of illness and injuries. I was telling somebody the other day, if somebody asked me if you could list all the things that could go wrong, just make a list, in January or December or something like that. There are like, my list would have been like, 10 things, a rib, whatever. Well, 5 of those things in that list, I wouldn't have thought of that we had happened to us this year. It's been the craziest year in my whole career of coaching. So we're starting to get some people back. We were down 7 people a couple of weeks ago out of the 1V, 2V, 7. So we got a couple of those people back. So hopefully we'll be a little faster. And as we go through the rest of the spring, we'll get some more people back. So, but we're going to throw it down with everything we had and see how we do. But yeah, so we're a little lean, but we are getting some people back, and we're really excited about seeing if we can get like closer to Stanford than we were a couple of weeks ago, and wherever Texas lines up against Stanford, closer to them than as well, and see if we can compete with Ohio State again. So as we did a few weeks ago. So we're excited to come, and the trailer's leaving tomorrow morning. So Jeff Mork, our boatman, is going to do the road trip, and I'm sure that Ohio State is already on the road or getting close to being on the road as well. So it's a long haul, as everybody knows. So we're excited and really look forward to it. And yes, coaches look at weather. Dave knows that, and we're trying not to get too hip on the weather because we know it changes a lot. So hopefully it'll calm down a little bit, and we'll get some good racing in. Really looking forward to it. They put on a great show. Their facilities and event management people at Texas are really, really good. So that everything's going to be top drawer. So really excited for it.
Thanks, Coach. If everybody wants to raise their hand, we can start that now. Coach Sweeney does her opening statement.
Right. Thank you so much for having this, Dave. I think this was a tremendous idea. I was sharing this with my staff earlier, and we're thrilled to see this kind of coverage for rowing. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for inviting us back out to the Longhorn Invite. We had an incredible experience last time we came out, not just from how well the event was run, but also the race experience and how that translated and helped us the rest of the year. And as Kevin kind of alluded to, when you asked me over the summer if we come back out, I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. And Stanford and Texas and Virginia are high level teams, and we're really looking forward to coming out and competing with them. We have been off to an interesting start. We've had some good results. We've had some not good results. And this last weekend was a really important learning opportunity for our crew and for the staff. We came back home and we have made some changes to what we saw on the weekend and have found some more speed. So we're excited to see if we can come out and compete with some of the best teams in the country, the 2 defending national champions, and Virginia, a historically excellent program and a team that has beaten us this year. So I just can't thank you enough for inviting us out, and we're looking forward to it and hoping that the changes that we've seen made the last few days, we're able to hold on to and find some speed and some momentum as we head into the championship season.
Thank you. And then we're now joined by Coach Burns. So Coach, if you could just give a brief statement on your season so far, and we'll get going with the questions after that.
There we go. I've been trying to see if I can get my video to work. For some reason it was logged off. Yeah, we're pumped. I think this is a typical coach preview, right? I'm in my car. Oh yeah, this is life in California. I pulled over to the side of the road to take this. Not the Zoom's not always working when you want it to. Yeah, we're really pumped. We've had a couple races so far this season. I think we're just kind of finding our racing legs. We like to kind of go slow for the first part of the season and then start ramping it up. I think we've got a good group. We've got probably a deeper group than we had last year. We're just trying to figure out kind of where people slot in, and we're getting some good kids back. As Kevin was alluding to, we get to see Virginia 2 weekends and basically back to back, which isn't always a plan, but our kids love to race, and the idea of going to Texas sounded so much fun. Yeah, so we just jumped in on this. Like, I think traditionally we've gone to like the Crew Classic, and we're trying to find other venues and other places to take them. Rowing itself is just so many hours, so much work, and kind of breaking sort of like traditional regional racing and just kind of going other places and seeing how other people run it. We're excited to be there. We're excited to try some Texas barbecue, and we're excited to partake in the traditional tacos of Texas too. So I'm bringing my son. He's 13. He's been doing a lot of research. We're getting there early on Thursday, and we're just gonna try and eat our way through Austin until the athletes arrive later that night.
All right, thanks, Coach. If everybody can raise their hands, we'll get going with the questions. Please remember to state who you're addressing your question for when you get started. Terry, go ahead.
Coach O'Neill, this question's for you and maybe for the rest of the coaches. So, rowing is one of those exciting sports that, it's like watching the final minutes of a final in basketball or any sport where anything can happen in the final seconds. It's fast-paced, heart-pounding. I'm curious, you talked about how to get, more people talking about it in the sport and out of sport. I watched a lot of the Henley Royal Regatta that you guys attended last year, and as I'm watching it, I'm thinking to myself, how can we bring some elements of that to the United States or here to Texas so that more people get involved from maybe a social standpoint, from the viewing standpoint, and then fall in love with the sport? Because I think until somebody watches it, they have no idea how exciting it is. So I'm just curious your thoughts on what could we do, just little things that add more attraction for fans.
Yeah, great question. First, I think something with Henley, they do a great job. The racing is terrific, but it's also a fantastic event. It's like it's on the social calendar of everyone in Great Britain for that time of year. So something that we are doing for this weekend, we're trying to make it more of an event. We tried to get a musical act to come on in. That fell through. Bevo is going to be there. The Spirit Squad is going to be there. So we're going to turn it more into just an event. So people would just want to come and be there. Never mind the racing. Okay. And then the racing, I'm going to talk almost out of both sides of my mouth here. We need to do a better job showcasing the sport. Oftentimes, rowers, we become self-deprecating. We say, oh, it's not a very spectator-friendly sport. It's an awesome spectator-friendly sport. I think we need to do a better job with the video coverage, the way that it's shown, because I do think rowing, when you show the athletes up close, you can see the power, you can see the rhythm, you can get a sense of the boat speed. It's really exciting. And even like the NCAA championships, we're probably the only championship. Like I watched the swimming championship the men's and women's swimming championship every year. And typically that is already decided before you get to the final race. They have all the racing, and then we watch diving for an hour. And then there's the 4x100, but you already know the winner. For rowing, you typically don't know who's going to win the championship until at best, maybe 500 meters to go in that final race. The drama it's amazing. Like Stanford last year, maybe 750 to go. You kind of knew like, okay, Stanford's going to win it, but not until that. The drama is really, so I think we need to do a better job building the drama and then showing the drama. Of course, with that, we are still tied to the Longhorn network for this upcoming race. So they own the rights to any video production of this. So we're not going to have a live stream for the video, but there's a few coaches, there's quite a few of us in the coaching community now that have recognized that we need to do a better job showcasing our sport, because I think it's a super spectator-friendly sport as long as you tell the story well enough.
Yeah. So I'm curious, just as a follow-on, is there any way to put a GoPro on the boats so we see it maybe even afterwards? That would be insane.
Great question. Yes, that can absolutely happen. And yeah, I think oftentimes the coaches this time of year, we get so focused on the racing and all the things that are going on with our team, but I think we have to think outside of the box a little bit, and maybe have to make some sacrifices to let people inside and know what's going on. So even like a press conference here where we're talking about injuries within our team, and of course, we're talking about Derek building speed throughout the year. Of course, the coaches were taking notes on each other. As coaches, we've often been very secretive in terms of what we do, but I think we just need to become more open and let people inside, because there's some really good stories that are going on. with all.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hi, Fraser, go ahead.
Hello, Fraser Innes, Junior Rowing News. So this one's to Coach O'Neill. Coming out of, and somewhat to Coach Sweeney, coming out of last weekend's results, it looks like the Big 12 could be as close as it's been possibly in your entire time, with Tennessee looking very impressive. How do you feel about possibly having an interesting conference championship and drama-filled conference championship, as well as your future off together in what I can only guess is a SEC rowing conference?
Yeah, sure. I think everyone noticed the Tennessee result from last weekend. I think no one was really surprised at that. I think we expected that. Yeah, the Big 12, it hasn't been the most competitive race for us the last few years, and that's we've dealt with it fine. Back when I was coaching at Cal, it was very the conference championship in the Pac-12 was very competitive. So we can go either way. There you can say it's a negative having to be up for the conference championship 2 weeks before the NCAAs, or it can be a positive, that you get to race a real quality crew, and then learn more about your team. So yeah, it's the reality. I welcome it, and we'll be ready this year, and we'll be ready moving forward. So I think and for Tennessee being good, it's only good for the sport. I'm a big fan of rowing. So yeah, and I think with that, I think it's interesting to see the changing landscape of rowing, for another good team to be in there that we might not have talked about years ago, just as Texas might not have been talked about years ago, that the changing landscape of rowing, it's all good for the sport. So yeah, bring it on. It's great. I shouldn't say bring it on. That means yeah, bring it on. Like it's competition's fun.
Hi, Fraser, do you have another one?
To coaches Sawyer and Sweeney, well, Texas and Stanford are ruled out because of the 1 in 4 rule. Is there a potential trip across the pond to Henley Regatta coming in the near future for either of your programs? You can tell my interest off my accent.
UVA is planning on going this year. It's all based on fundraising though. So if we can raise the money, we're deep in that. So we'll see hopefully in the next few weeks whether we can raise the cash to be able to pull it off. But yeah, we haven't been since 2000. It was in year 2000. It was the first time that women were at Henley in the 8, and Washington was there as well. So it's the first time, in 2000. So we thought, okay, that's a good year to try to go back. So yeah, it's been a long time since, but we're planning on it this year. Yeah.
We went in 2017. We have not been back yet, and it is a constant part of our conversation. Also, along with Kevin, some fundraising things to go along with that, but something our athletes are definitely interested in. And so it's in conversation, but I can't commit to anything here.
Thank you. Hudson, you're up.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hudson with the 4 Stars Podcast. Just wanted to say thanks for having me here. Might be the youngest person on this video recording, so just wanted to say, it's a pleasure. This question is for Coach Dave. Coming off a win at Crew Classic and recently Michigan, has there been anything that you've learned as a squad since those races that would help with the race this weekend?
What we've learned, yeah, I mean, the Michigan race, there was not ideal conditions, and I think we had to adjust some things, and I think we handled that really well. At the Crew Classic, that was obviously that's a great event, and I think we might have, coming up, there was certainly concerns. You never really know how fast you are and how everyone's going to respond, and I think that first race, or that first race weekend, I think we handled it really well. And then we were worried, like, okay, coming back, and could there be a little bit of a letdown the next weekend with Michigan, and especially adding to some difficult conditions, but they handled that really well. So yeah, I think we're learning that we're a pretty resilient group, and then we can handle things, and but we know we'll be tested this weekend for sure.
John Flynn, go ahead.
Hi, it's John Flynn from road2k.com. This is a question really probably for all four coaches, but maybe we can start with Derek, since you actually mentioned, kind of starting the season slowly might not be the right word, but kind of building as you go through the season. So I think maybe Derek, could you talk a little bit about what you're kind of hoping that your crews, your whole NCAA squad are going to kind of get out of this weekend and this opportunity to race, at this high level across these conferences. And then maybe that's also a question the other coaches could address from their own perspectives.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's I don't know, I see it as pretty basic, right? You don't really know what's the phrase? You don't know how hard a horse will pull until you tie him to a heavy load. Like if you want to be fast, you kind of have to get out there and race the fastest teams, right? I think we do an incredible job of creating sort of inner team culture, inner team competition, and driving each other. Like we do that really well on a day-to-day basis. But eventually, like you break that and you find units that are going to go and compete, but then you have to test those units. And this is just one of those great opportunities where you get to go line up against another fast team, see how they respond under duress, see how they respond in different conditions. Like this weekend, the weather could be crap. Like how do you approach that mentally? How do you approach that physically? How do you race that and go the full distance? Um, yeah, I mean, so for us, we just see this as a phenomenal opportunity racing three really fast teams.
Great. Thanks, Coach. And I guess maybe for Kevin or for Coach Sweeney, get things that you're sort of hoping you can kind of add to your crew's experience with things that they're going to get out of this as you go forward.
Yeah. Hey, John. Good to see you. When's my hack going up, by the way?
Soon.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so I actually said something to the 1v2v this morning. I said, you guys probably noticed that we're racing some pretty fast people, and they go, yeah. And I said, but that's what we want. We could race slower people and feel good about ourselves, but it would be a false hope, So I really want them. It's hard to get beat and to get beat pretty soundly like we did last weekend. But it does let you know where you stand. If Stanford's 1 and Texas is 2, that's probably going to be a heck of a boat race between those two, right? No offense to Ohio State or Virginia, but I think we all know that those guys are going to have a heck of a race. And we, meaning us, I can't speak for Ohio State, but I know Virginia is going to have a tough task. And we talked about that this morning. I said, we don't want to avoid speed. We want to learn from it. And I'm a realist. And I said, look, I don't expect you to beat, Stanford or Texas this weekend. All right. I want to just get closer. That's the goal. And I want to compete with Ohio State again. We had good racing with them a few weeks ago, and we want to compete with those guys. So I speak truthfully to them, right? I tell them when they're doing well, and I tell them when we need to do more. And so that's what we talked about this morning, that we're not going to avoid speed. We're not going to avoid the fastest teams we can find and find out where we are. Because if we take that in the right way, and we know that there's holes to fill, then we have a chance to fill those holes versus being deceived by beating somebody that's not as good, right? So that's kind of our approach, is that we get go down the course as best we can on April 27th, and so we get better and better and better every day this week and after that. So that's our goal.
Along those same lines, I was really excited to be able to accept the invitation to come out there because I knew that this regatta would be incredibly challenging for our team, and that's a good thing. Like I said, we came out a couple years ago, and we, Virginia was there, I think, and UCLA and SMU, and we got to race Texas, and our results there, it was a significant victory for Texas, and I know that helped us prepare and go on to win the Big Ten championship. I know it, and our team had to be able to find more speed. So I can't thank the University of Texas enough for inviting us out there. We're looking forward, like Kevin said, to competing with Virginia and seeing what we can do with those crews that we expect to be leading the field on Saturday.
Great, thank you.
All right, Fergus, go ahead.
Hi, Fergus Mainland from End of the Island podcast and GRN, similar to Fraser from across the pond, as you can probably tell by the accent. Coach O'Neill already touched on a couple of bits of conference realignment, so very keen to hear from Coach Sauer, Sweeney, and Burns. We've got a lot of big movement, big programs are moving between respective conferences from next season. And bit of a two-parter, what impact do you think that's going to have on collegiate rowing? And also, how much say, if any, did you guys have in whether or not your schools would be moving conferences?
Well, I can jump in and say we had zero impact. I think I'm speaking for everybody. Zero. They didn't ask us about anything as far as conference movement. And it seems like the conference movement is, I know the ACC welcomed Stanford, Cal, and SMU. All of a sudden, our conference got a lot tougher. I'll let Kate talk about the Big Ten, but yeah, I don't think we didn't have any input in that at all. But it's interesting. We had a head coaches meeting after those three schools were added to the ACC, and people are going like, "What are we going to do about scheduling? How are we going to do this? All this kind of stuff." And I go, "Well, we got Stanford and Cal coming here in April," and they're going like, "Whoa, how'd you do that? How'd you do that?" And I said, "Well, we race them anyway, and we're going out there next year." So people were just flabbergasted by the fact that we had already scheduled those guys, So anyway, it's just like it is what it is. We don't have any control over it, right? So you just make the best of it, and obviously welcome the crews that are coming into your conference and compete as hard as you can.
With the Big Ten, we're welcoming 3 new schools with rowing. So USC, UCLA, and the University of Washington, and it's going to level up the conference. And we're excited about it. But Kevin, we also had a meeting this fall with the 3 new head coaches, and we had a lot to talk about and figure out, how we're going to manage some of the things moving forward, like the Big Ten invite, like the Big Ten championship. Where are we going to host the them? Washington is typically, top end speed. So that's going to help us make the conference faster if we have someone else to chase. So, right, there are some people who are probably like, oh, another fast team joining. I think it's great. I think it'll keep our sport moving. And, we're looking forward to welcoming all 3 of them who have, shown speed in their own right.
And then, sorry, one more for me for Coach O'Neill and Coach Burns. It's not often we get the top 2 programs in the country going up against each other this early on in the season or before the NCAAs. How have you prepped your respective programs for such great opposition and such an exciting matchup with one going up against 2?
Sure, I'll start. To be honest, we haven't changed much this week, other than maybe talking with sports medicine, saying, "Hey, Longhorn invite," and everyone knowing Longhorn invite was going to be a big deal. But within our team, we don't really talk about other teams much at all, if ever. But of course, everyone knows that Stanford's coming, and that Virginia and Ohio State, everyone knows what's up. So there's definitely a lot. I think when we started the workout yesterday morning, like, all right, hey, it's a big week. We got to make this really good. And there was definitely a little extra level of focus within the entire squad. But then we got right into, some big selection work today. So that keeps everyone very focused as well. So other than people working hard in terms of coming back from injuries, I think we're taking it one step at a time. And regardless of, if we come out on top this weekend, I think everyone's gonna be like, yeah, we understand. That's only, April 27th. And everyone's well aware of what happened to us last year. Everyone within our team is well aware. And if we, don't come out ahead, that's just going to be extra motivation. So it's a win-win all around, racing somebody good right now, because we still have 5 weeks to go to the NCAA championships after this. So there's plenty of time, and plenty is gonna happen between now and NCAAs. But yeah, racing really good teams right now. It's definitely helps focus everybody, which I think is good for everyone.
Yeah, I think we're kind of right along the same lines. Like, this is exciting. This is fun. It's going to be great to be tested this early in the season, but it's still fairly early. From our vantage point, we really don't talk about other teams. I think this past weekend may have been the first time we mentioned another squad, but on paper there were two sisters going against each other in the same, sitting across each other for their respective universities. So that came up because there's always a little, sister rivalry going on. But other than that, like we just grind and prepare, and they love to compete, and they don't really care who they're competing against. Obviously, this weekend they know it's going to be more of a challenge, and they're excited for that. But we don't really get into the logistics of who we're lining up against.
Thank you. We have time for these last two questions. We'll get into good. Sean, go right ahead.
Hi, all. It's Sean Wolf calling from Rowing Illustrated, and I already decided. But real quick, I wanted to ask Dave O'Neill. Hey, Derek, I want to say hi to Derek as well. Derek and I go way back. Dave, what is the racing format for this weekend, and will we come away with a clear winner?
Sean, good question. The racing format is going to be straight up 4 boats across. I think we'll start hopefully with a 4th 8, then a 3rd 8, second 4, first 4, first 8, second 8, then first 8. That's the race order, unless we have to change it because of wind. Will there be a Longhorn invite champion? That's actually a great question, Sean. I hadn't thought about it for this weekend. So maybe, yeah, let's, coaches, what do you say we just do NCAA format, NCAA scoring, so we can crown a winner at the end of it for the 4, the second 8, and the first 8. Okay. So whoever comes out on top with points on that, it can declare themselves winner of the Longhorn Invite 2024. How's that sound? Okay, Sean?
I'm very happy. Thank you very much.
Okay, right on.
All right, Hudson, you're up.
Hi again. My name is Hudson from 4 Stars Podcast. This is a 2-part question. Gotta take Fergus's format there. So this one is actually for Coach Derek. Obviously, Pac-12 champs is in less than 1 month. It's the last one ever. You've been a coach at Stanford for now 8 years. Will you adjust the training plan at all, or increase the load for that? And also, this is for Kate Sweeney over at Ohio State. Nice to meet you. You were an athlete at Ohio State as a college athlete. Anything that you've learned as a college athlete will you teach that you've taught your athletes now about kind of how to handle nerves and kind of going up against these big teams? Any qualities that you've kind of learned from that you can teach your athletes, because I think that's super helpful, to learn and to always know how to adapt.
Yeah, I would say I love the Pac-12. I love racing that regatta. Cal and Washington they're just always fast, and it's such a great tune-up before NCAAs. There've been so many years we've gone there, gotten our teeth kicked in, and somehow rebounded 2 weeks later. There is just something about it that's so fun. Definitely gonna miss it, especially, and this year too. Like Cal, I think the last couple of years, they went on an incredible run. Probably during that COVID point, it seemed like it took something out of them, and they are right back at it again and just grinding, and they got a ton of speed. And as we saw from Washington last year, whatever they were at San Diego, they were a complete different beast come NCAAs. So yeah, we're excited about it. It's not like you can really get too up for that, because they understand that the one that counts is the last Sunday in May. So that's ultimately where we're focused. But we love going to Pac-12s and racing that out. And it's sad that it's the last one. But we're definitely pretty fired up for it.
Hudson, nice to meet you too. Thank you for that question. It's been a long time now since I actually sat in a shell and competed. I would say So I'm going back to my, 2012 days. But I would say something that we do focus on, or we talk about a lot, is the journey and the growth we have as people and as a program throughout the course of the year. And, nerves are normal. They're a normal part of our sport and what we deal with. And I think, it shows how much they care, how much this means to them. But it's not something we dwell on or talk too much about, because we try to allow them to feel prepared, especially as we get towards the end of the season. So I don't think I have a great answer for you of like a trick of the trade on how to deal with that, other than we're feeling really nervous and then the flag drops and then it's go. And like I can still feel those butterflies, and then also the shift of once the flag drops and now it's game on. So yeah, that's kind of how we think about it. And that's, we'll have an opportunity to practice that and managing those feelings and emotions as we sit on the starting line this weekend.
I'm excited.
All right, thank you. One final question from Terry. Go right ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. So this question is for Coach Derek. So Coach Derek, you're coming across country, California to Texas, and you'll probably stop at lunch, maybe at the In-N-Out Burger, and they see your jacket there. It says Stanford Rowing, and somebody says to you, "Rowing, is that fun to watch?" What would you say to them?
I would say it's a lot of fun to watch. And that's funny that you say that, because there's an In-N-Out Burger about 2 blocks from here, and I'm done with this call. I'm heading there before I head back home. Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, it's so much fun to watch. Like, I think like pointing the thing that Dave was pointing out earlier, like one of the things that's great about Henley, the commentators are phenomenal, just phenomenal. They care, they're passionate about it, and you can hear that as it comes out. And then it's just about cameras, right? It's like when you can get the cameras close and people can actually see it, it's just awesome. The the ants on a log camera, right? When it's like you don't have the depth of what's going on, you don't really have an appreciation for it. But World Rowing does a great job of like getting close to boats and like just kind of being in the fray, much like you would see with football. It's like that's just part of what has to happen. More drones, more cameras, like that, and then just like the people that can talk it, like everyone would sit and listen to John Madden every Sunday and every Monday night. Like they loved it. Like he just had a way. He was so captivating. It's like that's also a big part of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Coach Dave, do you have a final statement you want to make?
Sure. Going off what Derek was saying about the commentary, we're going to have an awesome commentator this upcoming weekend. Mary Whipple is flying on in. And did she just leave the call? She was just on here. Oh, there she is. Okay. So Mary's coming on in. And so she might be checking in with the coaches, getting some insight from all of you. And Mary's going to be doing the commentary for all of it. So, and Terry, like, and to your point about making it an interesting spectacle, I remember going back 25 years, ago, watching the Tour de France, and just watching a 5-hour bike race might not seem very interesting, but it was a great story with Lance Armstrong versus Jan Ullrich, and the commentary with Phil Liggett, and the other guy's name, his name escapes me right now. They made it interesting. I think having good commentary and having good video, it's a captivating sport. So looking forward to what's ahead. And Mary definitely brings the energy and brings the juice. So it's going to be it's going to make a good event. And,
challenge accepted.
Right on. Okay. Yeah, and everyone, thanks for joining this. And I guess one last thing for those, Terry, and for others who aren't deeply connected to rowing. The race schedule, when we post the race schedule, it will be tentative. Okay. We are very, very weather dependent. So, hopeful there'll be the initial plan. The plan B will be that we just change the order of the racing to accommodate the wind. The second, change of plan might be might go earlier in the morning. And then the last result, we would switch the racing to Friday evening if the weather really looks like it's going to be bad. So whenever you're posting anything, the tentative schedule will be racing starts at 9 a.m. on Saturday. Okay, so that's it. So looking forward to all the coverage from everybody, and the racing ahead.